of the depth, the size, the scope of the depth of feeling, right? No, dashing rogue, right? No. Ape men are those who prefer loincloths over suits and they need a better culture. No, we aren't liberals. We aren't here to make them like us, right? We are as we are. We wear the suits. They wear the loincloths. That's totally fine. I'm not asking you to wear a loincloth. No one's asking you to wear a loincloth. But we aren't here to fix the world. We aren't here to make everyone live like us. This is what the liberal does. And actually, I think the problem with the modern world is liberalism. And I think we need to recognize that, because that's the formatting, the global homogenization of the universe. Like, it is making everything the same. No, it's fine. These people are strange barbarians, right? They live in a weird way. That's fine. That's theirs. This is ours. And actually, the distinction between groups is a valuable and necessary thing. And it informs actually all of those, it resolves all of the issues that we're having with liberalism, which treats people as being interchangeable, universal, fungible things, where it presupposes that we were basically all the same before we entered into a society. That's not true. People are all different, in fact, and these differences aggregate in groups, and it makes sense to deal with group differences. And this is what 40,000 Maori arrived at their parliament to protest. They were actively protesting the liberal view of what a human is. Of course, they're not going to articulate it like this, but philosophically, this is what this boils down to. And like I said, I was doing some reading into this, and I was like, oh, I think the Maori might be based. Like, I realise that that's an unusual thing. Now, I appreciate that many people on our side, many of the sort of Anglos or people of European descent, have been browbeaten a lot by foreign cultures, by liberals, by progressives, by leftists, who are trying to suggest that foreign cultures are superior to our own. Now, just as a quick side, I think discussing things like cultural superiority and inferiority is actually not very helpful. Now, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but the problem is the metrics that you choose are basically culturally particular to yourself. So it's very rare that someone will say, you know what, my culture sucks. Their culture's way better. And when you arrive at that position, you tend to look at yourself essentially as a rabid leftist with an out-group preference. It's totally normal for everyone to have an in-group preference, regardless of the superiority or inferiority of any group. And again, when you get into that kind of discussion, suddenly you're talking about objective metrics, which kind of miss the point of belonging to a group. You don't belong to a group because of its objective metrics, because the GDP of one country is higher, one group is higher than another group. That's not why you belong to them. You belong to them for moral and sentimental reasons that can't be measured, shouldn't be measured, aren't objective, are totally subjective to you. And you don't have to give up if a set of numbers is presented to you. These things are a part of the core of who you are and what you are, and it's wrong to try and get rid of them. They're good things that make you a human in the world. And again, the appeal to the kind of objective numerical standard just leads us into the universal managerial paradigm where these things can be managed. It's like, okay, but I don't want to be managed by some fucking faceless bureaucrat who's going to sit there and weigh up his numbers on a fucking spreadsheet. I don't want that. That's bad. That's evil. It's an inhuman way of behaving. And so it is actually interesting to see such a large proportion of the Maori community coming out to protest this. And it's weird to see people on the right not getting why they're protesting. So I thought what we'd do is go through it, because I think there is something genuinely interesting and educational here that we can actually speak to. So this all begins with the Treaty of Waitangi. Now, like I said, my pronunciations are going to be terrible. This was, as I say, signed in 1840 on February in Auckland between a coalition of Maori chieftains, not all of them, but most of them, and the Imperial British government, or what would become the British government. And as you can see, the treaty is written twice. It's in English and it's in Maori. This is the one in Maori, which I'm just going to skip over because I don't real Maori. Again, Dashing Rogue, There is no such thing as better, but there is preferable, and it's right that you prefer your own culture as they prefer theirs. Again, when you fall into better, you are instantly on the trail to essentially commodifying your own culture, right? And you shouldn't be commodifying your own culture. It belongs to you. It is a precious thing. It is not for commodification. It is something spiritual about yourself. You are totally entitled to prefer your culture over every other culture, and there's no reason that you shouldn't. And they're entitled to the same thing, and that's actually something that we used to respect. In the pre-liberal order, we used to understand that, and that is what this treaty is about. So,